Welcome back. In this part, we'll learn about Linux Shell. Last part, we learned about kernel and understood that kernel is the joining part of hardware and software. But here we have a problem. Kernel understood only machine language. And as a normal user, it's very difficult for us to give each and every command in machine language. Solution to this problem is shell. Now what is shell? In simple word, we can understand shell as a program which take user input and then convert them into machine language and send it to kernel. This visual will help us to understand. User is giving input to shell. Shell is converting that user input which is in simple language to machine language. Now kernel can understand what user want to do. Then kernel proceed the command to hardware. Hardware execute the command given by the user, give the output to kernel. The kernel give the output to shell in machine language. Shell convert that machine language back into the simple language that user can understand and display it to user. Normally operating system either have command line interface or graphical user interface. Traditionally the system come with command line interface. Let's have a look. This is a command line interface. Here I am using Ubuntu server running on VirtualBox. In this we can do whatever we want, but by just giving commands. We don't have any cursor or any icon that might help us. This is a part of shell. In this, whatever command we are giving input is stored and then proceed further. We will understand that later. This is the GUI version of Linux with which we are familiar with. We can find something interesting in this. We have a command line interface here also. This is not the original command line interface, but just an emulator. It works similarly as the command line interface or the shell, but this is an emulator version of that. We can do each and everything we can do with the command line interface. One good feature of this GUI version is that we are also having that old command line interface. To go there, we can use command plus alt plus F4. But as I am using the VirtualBox, I will use xdo tool to do the same. Xdo tool help to simulate the keyboard entries. Now here we are into the command line interface of the Ubuntu. And now we can do anything similarly we can do in the command line interface. To go back, we have a command startx. We have to type sudo startx. Now we can see our cursor. And here we are back into our graphical user interface. Now we can log in and go ahead. One interesting thing you all must be interested to know that we can see two user test have logged in at the same time. This test is using the graphical user interface and this test is using the console version, the CLI version. In our Ubuntu, we have 4 command line interface and 2 graphical user interface running in the background. And when we go to command line interface using Control Alt F4, we are moving to one of the command line interface and the GUI version is running in the background. Now we can understand how the command line interface work. When the user give input It is stored in the terminal character device file, and from there it is read by the shell and moved to the kernel, and the process is executed and the output is given back to this terminal character device file and then encode into our command line interface. Talking about our new GUI version, we are using the same formula we use in our command line interface. The graphical user interface is simply a program. When we give input from mouse and keyboard, it's gone to X server. It is the main part which control our graphical user interface. And then X server give the request to video drivers and then to system. And from system output is given into video drivers and back to X server and displayed us into graphical version. Let's take an example of Firefox. When we start Firefox, the input from Firefox is sent to X server, then to video driver and then system. And the process is executed and the output is again sent back to X server and displayed us into the Firefox. All apps of Genome and etc. are using the same basic thing. One good feature of X server is that it is having network transparency. It means that I can access my Firefox from other machine also. Like the Firefox running on your system can be controlled from my system. Now, how the files are stored and worked in the graphical user interface. From the X Windows server, command is given to the terminal and its code is stored into pseudo terminal character device file, master and slave. And from there, it is sent to the process and the process is repeated back to give us the output. There are different type of shell in our system like sh, csh, kshs, bash and etc. For those information you can visit cosmogic.com and download the PDF from there. Thank you. Meet you in the next part.